This video is brought to you by Nhouse M&A.
How confident are you in your understanding of the M&A due diligence process and the best strategies for navigating it? While you may excel as a leader or manager, it's common not to have extensive experience in mergers and acquisitions. This is why many companies and business owners seek the support of advisors during the due diligence phase. However, it's important to remember that even these advisors will often look to you for final decisions on how to address specific findings. While they can provide valuable insights, they may not always offer a single definitive solution. So, how do you find the answers? Some due diligence findings may clearly indicate deal breakers, while others might appear as distant risks, leaving you uncertain about the best course of action. Ignoring a red flag can lead to sleepless nights, as the realization dawns that failing to address critical issues or misjudging the value of a target can result in significant financial consequences, potentially impacting your organization's bottom line and long-term viability. In fact, the solution is rarely straightforward. Depending on the situation and your priorities, there are multiple approaches to consider when managing due diligence findings. Understanding the available options is the first important step, as each has its pros and cons. You are the one that possesses insights into your needs, which also positions you to be the one to make the best judgment regarding the most appropriate course of action. To effectively tackle these challenges, it is essential to have a robust framework for critically evaluating your advisor's findings, ensuring that you make the most informed decisions possible. To help you better understand and manage M&A due diligence, we will explore 4 real-world examples today. For each scenario, we will provide background on the due diligence findings and offer strategies for addressing these issues. In some cases, we will even present multiple approaches for mitigating the associated risks. Scenario 1. IP consideration in a standalone situation. A biopharma group is selling a subsidiary focused on research and development in regenerative medicine. This subsidiary relies heavily on key intellectual property owned by its parent company, which licenses the IP to the subsidiary at no cost. The IP associated with regenerative medicine is key to the viability of the target business. As a potential buyer, how would you approach this due diligence issue to ensure that the acquisition makes both operational and financial sense? Here are 2 potential approaches. One straightforward way is to proceed with the acquisition while maintaining the existing licensing agreement for the IP. You could negotiate with the seller to continue licensing the IP either for free or for a fee. If you opt for a fee-based license, it's essential to incorporate this cost into your financial model to accurately reflect the total acquisition cost. This approach allows for a quicker transaction, giving you immediate access to the technology as you evaluate longer-term strategies. However, a significant drawback of this approach is that you would remain dependent on the seller for access to essential IP, potentially limiting your control and flexibility. Ongoing negotiations regarding licensing terms could also lead to complications in the future. A more robust solution would be to request that the seller transfer the IP rights directly to the subsidiary as part of the sale. While this transfer is feasible, the seller may hesitate to proceed with relevant arrangements until they are confident that a deal is in place. To mitigate the risk, you could either wait until the IP transfers are finalized before signing the Sales and Purchase Agreement, SPA, or negotiate to include a condition precedent, CP, in your SPA. This CP would specify that the completion of the transaction is contingent upon the successful transfer of the IP rights, meaning that even after signing the SPA, the deal would not be finalized until the IP transfer is completed. This approach allows you to secure the IP rights, granting you full control over the technology and enhancing the overall value of the acquisition. It also reduces future uncertainties and dependencies on the seller. However, be aware that this will require an upfront payment for the IP rights instead. Scenario 2. Bad debt and the consequent legal actions. When doing due diligence on a toy manufacturing company, you discovered that the company has $100,000 in bad debt due to cash flow issues with a national supermarket chain. The supermarket has not made payments in over 200 days and is currently undergoing restructuring. The toy company has initiated a lawsuit against the supermarket chain to seek compensation for the outstanding amount. Despite this situation, the supermarket is just one of many customers, allowing the toy company to continue operating without its business. As a potential buyer, how should you address this issue? One conservative approach is to write off the bad debt on the toy company's balance sheet and reflect the full amount in your purchase price. This method simplifies the transaction by acknowledging the potential loss up front. However, while this approach is straightforward, it may not always be necessary if there is a realistic chance of recovery, especially if there is a valuation gap between your and the seller's expectations. If legal analysis indicates a high probability of recovering the full amount, adjusting the purchase price downward may not be well received by the seller. In this case, you could negotiate a special indemnity related to the lawsuit. Under this arrangement, you would agree to pay the full purchase price initially, but if any portion of the bad debt remains unrecovered, the seller would indemnify you for that amount. This structure allows the seller to maintain a favorable sale price while providing you with a safety net against potential overpayment. In more extreme situations, if the supermarket chain issue is so critical that you would not proceed with the transaction unless the lawsuit is resolved, you might want to include closing conditions in the SPA. This condition would stipulate that the deal cannot close until the lawsuit outcome is determined, protecting you from acquiring a company with unresolved financial risks. Scenario 3. Labor union issues. Here, we are focusing on an electric vehicle company as the target for acquisition. During the due diligence process, it was revealed that the labor union has organized 2 strikes in the past 5 years. With rising inflation, there are concerns that the union may demand another salary increase within the next 6 months. As a potential buyer, how should you respond to this finding? Before exploring any risk mitigation strategies, it's essential to thoroughly investigate and understand the underlying issues. How do the current compensation and time-off systems function? What are the employees' expectations? Gathering detailed information about employee sentiment and labor relations will provide valuable insights into the potential risks associated with the acquisition. With these insights, your internal teams, including legal and human resources, should develop a preliminary post-merger integration plan. This plan must be practical and focused on ensuring that new employees can transition smoothly into the organization while aligning the company culture with their expectations. By proactively addressing potential concerns, you can foster an environment that encourages collaboration and minimizes the likelihood of future conflicts. Finally, based on the collaboratively developed post-merger integration plan, you will need to incorporate relevant details into your financial model. This should encompass anticipated salary increases, additional hiring, and other essential employee training costs. By extracting insights from the post-merger integration plan for your financial model, you can more effectively identify potential risks and ensure they are accurately reflected in your acquisition evaluation. Scenario 4. Product innovation matter. In the final scenario, we're examining a chemical company that specializes in producing cleaning solutions that are vital in the semiconductor manufacturing process. During the due diligence process, you discovered that only a small number of personnel at the target company are familiar with the mixing formula for its top-selling product. Additionally, your team found that the last 3 generations of product R&D were led by the same researcher. How should you address this finding in your due diligence? Having reviewed several scenarios previously, perhaps you could consider thinking of potential risk mitigation strategies to manage this situation. As we have seen in the case scenarios discussed, there is no one-size-fits-all solution for addressing each due diligence finding. In any M&A transaction, you will likely encounter a variety of issues, and the appropriate mitigation strategy will depend on the specific circumstances of each deal and your unique concerns. If you find yourself uncertain about how to approach your next M&A due diligence, you need not be concerned so long as you can rely on a structured framework to guide your judgment and decision-making process. Having a framework in place makes the complexities of due diligence more manageable and approachable. We have compiled and summarized a range of effective mitigation methods, equipping you with tools to organize and track your due diligence findings effectively. Additionally, we offer an extensive list of case examples with their corresponding mitigation strategies, which will serve as valuable references. For example, you will be able to find the solution to case scenario 4 above. Our framework has been rigorously tested with numerous clients and aligns with best practices employed by leading global investment banks. If you're interested in enhancing your understanding of these strategies, we invite you to visit our website, inhousema.com, to see more of our sharing. Until next time.